welcome back to my channel. I'm genuinely blessed to have you here. I hope you guys are feeling well. I hope you're doing swell. You sure do make this look easy. Last time we were together, we discussed the pineal gland and the calcification of that and what that really means for mankind. I really wanted to look more into the spiritual implications of the third eye or pineal gland and educate ourselves more about that. The pineal gland, a spiritual third eye, an odyssey of antiquity to modern chronomedicine. And this comes from the Department of Neurosurgery from the Sanjay Gandhi Postgraduate Institute of Medical Sciences in India. The pineal gland, or spiritual third eye, is regarded as the gateway of the spiritual life, as per ancient concepts about the soul. Recently, modern neuroscience has proven that the pineal gland is not only the melatonin-secreting neuroendocrine organ which controls the circadian rhythm, but it also has mystical and energetic associations with spirituality. It acts as a tremendous coordinator between molecule, hormonal, physiological, and chemical rhythmic orchestra. Thus, in this article, by highlighting the relation between ancient Indian methodology and modern chronomedicine, the author describes the odyssey of antiquity to modern science. Let's take a pause for a minute. When I was growing up, I had a few spiritual encounters, and this is what just makes me curious. DMT from the pineal gland is also known as spiritual molecule. It is linked to the perception, and it is activated by energetic and magnetic frequency. It may sound absurd to some researchers, but current evidence favors the existence of the third eye. The literature is flooded with articles relating the pineal gland with circadian rhythm. In this article, the author has highlighted the bonding between ancient Indian methodology and modern chronomedicine. The description of Cashapp is the correlation with pineal gland and hypothalamic complex highlight the odyssey of antiquity in modern chronomedicine. Human beings have a third eye, or a mystic body, scientifically known as the pineal gland. The third eye corresponds to the sixth chakra, Anga. This provides a window into the spiritual life of every individual. The ancient scientists had never believed in the existence of the soul until Cartesian neuropsychophysiological doctrine was laid in the 17th century. The two schools of science and philosophy gave a common consensus on the existence of the pineal gland and its physiological and mythological importance. The ancient philosophers and scientists have different beliefs in the soul and its existence. The exact seat of the soul has evolved over centuries. The Platonic and Aristotle concepts highlighted the three types of souls, concluding the importance of the heart as the center of control. Friend. According to them, the soul is outside the body and linked with the materialistic body of some part. It was indeed Hippocrates who changed their concept and said that the soul resides somewhere in the body. Hippocrates justified that it is in the brain rather than the heart as the focal point of feeling and reason. The soul is the energy generating part that coordinates the molecular, hormonal, and physiological and chemical orchestra of the human body. Modern neuroscience believes that the rhythmic coordination is maintained by suprachiasmatic nucleus via the pineal gland. Thus, the pineal gland has a mystical, energetic associations. The first specific reference to the pineal gland was given by Herophilus, who was born 250 years BC, who wrote that the soul is in Calamos. The detailed description of the pineal gland was given by Galen in his work De Automatics Administrationibus. He believes that the soul flows in form of air from the lungs to the heart and then to the brain. The flow of air in the brain is controlled in a valve-like fashion by the pineal gland. Y'all, that just blew my mind piece. The importance of the pineal gland as the center of the soul reached its peak in the era of St. Thomas Aquinas, who formed a council and proved it, or his theory of 3 cells. Later on, De Secretis and Andreas Valerius, 1514 to 1564, the father of modern anatomy, also proposed that the brain as the center of the soul. Rene Descartes, in his book The Passion of the Soul, described the pineal gland as the meeting place of the physical and spiritual worlds, and wrote that the body and spirit not only meet there, but each affects the other, and the repercussion extends in both directions. Now I find that part curious. Rhythmic and circadian rhythm. The term circadian comes from the Latin around, and diem or dies, day, meaning literally approximately 1 day. The formal study of biological temporal rhythms, such as the daily, tidal, weekly, seasonal, and annual rhythms, is called chronobiology, which is actually pretty cool. Chronomedicine is prescribing medicines at specified clock hours to achieve the optimization of therapeutic administration. Rhythmically is seen in metabolic pathways, serum, chemical levels inside the human body. It is always in a sensitivity of target systems to indigenous or exogenous chemical substances. It is also proved that the plasma proteins also undergo a circadian rhythm, so drugs binding to these plasma proteins follow rhythmically. For example, anti-hypersensitive drugs expressing first dose phenomenon are usually administered at bedtime to avoid complications due to hypotension. Yeesh. The pineal gland is a neuroendocrine organ that primarily functions to maintain the circadian rhythm, to provide light and dark information to the rest of the brain through hormone melatonin. The melatonin is derived from amino acid, and its formation is controlled rhythmically by the hypothalamus and the pineal gland. The melatonin shows rhythmic secretion and control in following 4 steps. The rhythmically is controlled both locally and centrally. The 3 main nadis are Ida, Pingala, and Sushma. These nadis are subtle energy channels of the body, and they are a conduit of prana, which is soul, throughout the whole body. Anga chakra, the area of the 3rd eye, is the 6th chakra, which is found in the space between the eyebrows, the brow chakra, and the 3rd eye, the eye of wisdom, the inner eye chakra, or the command chakra. An invisible yet powerful 3rd eye is our center of intuition. The letter Ham represents Shiva. Cashapp represents Shakti. These 2 words written on petals represent the manifest and the unmanifest mind, are sometimes said to represent the pineal and pituitary glands. And you guys know, recently, not long ago, I did a painting of who? Shakti, the divine feminine and masculine that come together as one united being. Oh my gosh, it's just crazy. Actually, as human beings, we do not know the power of the mind. Ancient gurus have gained mystic and supernatural powers by igniting the 3rd eye. Although substantial evidence is missing, the scientific world has strong inclination towards the existence of Anga chakra, or the 3rd eye. We probably possess an intense capacity for visualization, and our mind is composed and opens to mystic truths. We realize more and more that the world of appearances is but an allegory, a symbol of a spiritual principle manifested on a physical level. We possibly notice from time to time that our thoughts or ideas come true. Some people call this deja vu. The more our third eye chakra develops, the more our thoughts are based on direct inner awareness of reality. Dietary amino acid, tryptophan, and so on, synthetic serotonin, NAS. So it goes on to say all these things. Circadian signals from the SCN are transmitted sequentially to the paraventricular nuclei, the nucleus of the spinal cord. A part of the system, melatonin rhythm is coupled tightly to the core temperature rhythm, with the peak of melatonin secretion corresponding closely to the nadir of temperature. A bunch of hoo-ha, honestly, for that part, but basically it's talking about the circadian rhythm again, how that happens, why it happens, what's a part of it, etc. What do you guys think about all this? Have you heard about this before? Have you looked into your third eye? Do you agree with what I've read so far? It seems really interesting. Right now, it's going to go on to basically explain the whole circadian rhythm one more time. And it also discusses how one can be out of phase with standard time quite easily. And it's called desynchronization or chronodisrupted, right? And it basically means that your circadian rhythm is off, essentially. As it continues, it's going to discuss more about the circadian rhythm and, again, what it means to be disrupted if you're chronodisrupted, etc. It also goes into discuss the three doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, and these follow the circadian rhythm, and by this rhythm, all of the functions of the body are regulated. Disruption in this rhythm leads to production of melatonin that the body doesn't need, so on and so forth. So wrong thing, wrong time, essentially. I want to keep it short on these parts because there is more spiritual discussion to be had in, yes, you guessed it, the third part. There will be one more part of this pineal gland series, but I really appreciate you guys sticking out with me, really wanting to learn more about your third eye because it is important. We should make sure that our third eye is decalcified and discuss it more and more because these things matter. If you do want to learn more about it, like I said before, don't be shy, do pause. I'll leave my sources down below.